the NFL season approaching quick, and now it's the time where everyone's making takes, and I want to talk about some predictions and some teams that maybe will surprise and some teams that maybe will disappoint. And basically, I want to pick out some teams that made the playoffs last year that maybe they're not going to make it this year, and then the vice versa, where teams that will make the playoffs this year that did not last year. Will, I want to start out with you. What's one team that you think is going to surprise?
One team that I think is going to surprise, I'm not sure if it's going to be too big of a surprise, but I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs, have a better record than they did last year, the Colts.
Okay.
So Matt Ryan comes in, experienced, understands how to win playoff games, knows how to lose Super Bowls despicably. Nonetheless, they're really building something here, and I think that with their strong running core, they can get something done. When you have a guy like Carson Wentz who's coming in, they had that 1 year kind of thing where they're switching them in, out, substituting, getting rid of them. But they bring in Matt Ryan, who I think has probably the most potential here with the Colts, and I think that the blue on him is going to look freaking cool. But anyway, the Andrew Luck excuse is over, like far over. Like that's 2014. This is new. This is something that I think time will tell this season, maybe after 4 weeks. But Matt Ryan, I have a lot of faith in him, and I think the Colts could seriously do better than 8-9.
No, I completely agree. I think the Colts are a team that, like, they're always, like, good, but not, like, great. And I think that had a lot to do with the quarterback play, whether it was really old Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz. And I think Matt Ryan, I hope they got him, they got Phillip Rivers too late in his career.
Right.
I hope that's not the same with Matt Ryan.
I hope it's not the same, yeah.
I mean, Matt Ryan's a guy that I've seen a lot in the NFC South as a Saints fan. Mm-hmm. He's someone that is really solid. I think a lot of Saints fans, because the Saints usually do pretty well against him, I think they underrate him. I think he's actually going to help this team. I agree with you. I think they're actually going to make the playoffs. I love that defense. I love their running game with Jonathan Taylor. And I think I love teams that could run the ball and then have that play action off of it, get some easy plays. I think those offenses, when you don't have the Mahomeses, that Josh Allen's, those are the offenses I think are going to succeed a lot. And those are the teams I just like to watch personally. So, again, I do think the Colts are going to be a really solid team, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. I agree with you.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I don't have too much else to add to what you both have said. I pretty much agree with you, though I didn't have them listed as one of my teams. I did highly consider putting them into my little list because when I was looking at everything they've done in this offseason, who they've gathered, I also think the chemistry is going to be stronger this year. I do have high hopes for them, although I haven't necessarily personally concerned myself with the Colts too much in my football history of my life. However, I agree with both of you. I think that they'll find a way to make it. Will they be, I don't know, Super Bowl contenders? Maybe not. But will they find their way into
playoffs?
Fair. We'll see.
I don't know. But I think that they'll find their way at least into it. And I think that that's better than they've done in the past. So
and those first 4 games are going to be very telling, I think.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
Absolutely.
I could be wrong. But
last year they lost in the last game.
Jaguars. I believe it was in London.
Oh, yeah, it was.
No.
Really? No.
I remember the Jaguars got a great win in London.
Well,
I think that might have been
multiple wins.
Right. I think that was their
2021 Colts. I mean, if they lost,
lost in the last game of the season. Where if the Colts had won, they would have made. They would have gotten a playoff.
It was in Jacksonville, not in London.
Right.
Oh,
yeah, that's
I remember that was the most heartbreaking thing in the world. And the Colts have good culture. Like they have a solid fan base, and those people are just.
They were 9-6 going into the final 2 games. They lose to the Raiders, and then they lose to the Jaguars.
So they ended 9-8.
So tough.
9-8. Yeah, I missed the playoffs. Wow, that's rough.
Gotcha.
Sam, who do you got? What's the team of surprise?
Well, I don't know how hot to go because of course I put my Raiders in because I know they made it last year. I know they were in a wild card spot, but
because of the Colts lost.
Because the Colts lost.
Exactly.
But I feel like that's predictable. So I feel like I'm not gonna go into that one. You know what? I'm gonna go Lions. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
They do have an easy schedule.
That was a hot take. See,
that's
I
very
love
hot. Okay.
Very hot, but I like it. Explain.
See, that's why is I was like, I'm gonna go with what I think is my hottest take, which I do think is the Detroit Lions. First of all, side note, whoever runs their social media, let me give you a hug because you have the best TikTok account ever. Anyways, second of all, like you said, Will, they have a fairly weak schedule compared to their competitors in the same division. Like all of their scheduled opponents last year had like a combined losing record, so they're not necessarily going against the top of the charts the entire season. Their opponents all combined for a 135-154 record, And they got off to a really bad start last year. We're not going to brush past that, but they were 500 in the last part of the season, or they went 500 rather. which is a nice turnaround. And the fact that you're able to turn it around to have at least a semblance of a dignified record, at least somewhat, after you've gotten off to such a poor start, shows that you have that kind of drive to turn it around, which I think is incredibly important, along with everything that you have on your actual roster. Players have embraced Coach Campbell, and now they have an extra
Dan
year.
Campbell's the best.
I know, right?
Ripping kneecaps and
He's
all that. Eating kneecaps, yeah.
Eating kneecaps. And last year, obviously, their record was like 3-13. It wasn't great. However, they're more comfortable with him now. They know how he's going to call plays. They know what he's in. They know what he's about, which I think helps with the chemistry of the team. It'll be better communication between front office and them. They have a great O-line, and like if they can stay healthy, I think they'll be able to figure it out. And like, look, okay, Jared Goff, look, he did not start out super strong, but in his final 6 starts, he was able to take on like all the playoff contenders. They won against 3 of the last, I think, 4 playoff contenders they played against in the latter part of their season, which is, I mean, important for a team that was doing so terribly to be able to compete with actual playoff contenders. That's something. Teams who were then in the playoffs. So I don't know. And they traded up 20 spots in the draft to get Jameson Williams from Alabama. When he's healed from ACL surgery, which I know he's injured right now, but when he's healed, I think he'll be explosive, and I think he'll be exciting.
Once they get a new QB. I'm not a fan of Jared Goff. But
he's been to a Super Bowl.
Shouldn't have went to the Super Bowl. Let's not go there. But I love Dan Campbell. He was former Saints coach, and like everyone loved him there. And these quotes are just the best. Him on Hard Knocks. I don't know who set that up, but that is literally must-watch TV.
Kelly Bright, our
WFUV
alumni.
Bright. We love you. We miss you, Kelly Bright.
Part of the editing team.
It's all. I mean,
shout out her.
Just have Dan Campbell on there, and
it's so perfect.
It's like, oh my god, he's like
great TV.
it's quote machine. This guy is the kneecaps. I forgot what he said last week. He was like, we're gonna eat everybody, and like I don't care who we're playing. We're hungry.
We're gonna eat them all. I was like,
that's the thing with that team. I feel like when he first got in there that first year, everyone was like, who is this guy? But yes, right. But and then towards the later part of the season, they're like, I really love this guy. Yeah. And then now it's just sort of just taken off. And I think that you're right. They could definitely grab at least 7 games. And looking at their schedule, it's not too tough. I mean, besides inside the division.
Yeah, I mean, you got to face the Packers twice.
You got to face the Packers twice. You're right.
Their team, I don't think. Look, if they make the playoffs, I'll be very happy for Dan Campbell and that team. I do think it's a very hot take. I know respect it.
It's a very hot take. It's like scalding hot, but you know what? That's what we are here for.
Yeah,
we are here to make hot takes, and I'm glad that I got a little surprise out of both. I wasn't sure if either of my takes would surprise you, but I'm glad they did.
I like it.
And look, there's always a team in the NFL too that surprises.
Yes.
I always will say that.
The Bengals last year.
Yep, it will happen. Quite a bit. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Lions this year. I can't go as hot as that pick. But as a Saints fan, obviously, I don't always get to bring up the Saints on these shows. I have a chance to here. Saints missed the playoffs 9-8 last year. They lose Sean Payton to retirement, but I think they're back in the playoffs this year. Okay. And I think a lot of that has to do with the improved receiving core. I think Michael Thomas is going to have a huge year coming back from injury and just the whole saga what happened last year. Chris Olave, I think, is going to be really, really good. I think out of Ohio State, he's a guy that reminds me of Michael Thomas a bit. His route running ability is really good. He's not as big and strong as Michael Thomas, but really fast, really quick. And then you had Juice, Jarvis Landry, the homecoming for him from LSU, Tyrann Mathieu, same thing. Right. I think that this team and this defense will probably lead the way. Jameis Winston coming back, I think, will help this team if he can stay healthy. If he's eating the W's, that's what you got to see. I do like Dennis Allen a lot, and I think that Kamara, another guy that could be in suspension territory. Now there are reports saying he may not get suspended because they're going through like a legal trial with his, what happened in the Pro Bowl with, where I think the video came out that like he punched like somebody in his whatever. It was something that
there's always drama.
Yeah, it's just like obviously that happens.
Wasn't that like Christmas?
It was
Thanksgiving.
It was Pro Bowl. It was
or Pro Bowl. Right. It was. I knew it was some holiday.
He sucker punched some dude in the elevator. Because he made the guy made fun of someone in his group. In
his posse.
Yeah. So however that happened, he doesn't seem like he's gonna get suspended this year because the trial is still ongoing if he gets suspended at all. So we'll have to kind of see how that plays out. But if he's healthy, Michael Thomas is healthy, Chris Olave's there. I just really think that this offense will be much improved from last year, where it was just really, really bad when Trevor Siemian was starting games and your number one receiver was Marquez Callaway. I just think they'll offense be better, and the defense, I think it gets a little worse just because they lost some pieces, Marcus Williams, but I think it's still top 10, and I think, if they can have an average offense, I think this defense will help them at least get a playoff spot in a bad NFC.